Thank God that I caught that I wasn't recording because I just about pooped my pants thinking that I was like way further into the episode than I was. Thank God I just kicked it off. What I said in the beginning was I'm so critical when I'm doing an episode by myself because I'm like, oh my God, what do I want to say? How do I want to line this up? I'm thinking about all things career, which is a perfect segue into this episode because we all need to take a deep breath and understand that we are right where we should be and need to be right in this exact moment right now. Granted, yes, many of us probably need to make a shuffle or a change sometime soon because we're itching for it, because we're passionate people. That means you're passionate, you're aware, you're efficient likely with your time. So take a deep breath. We all need to do it. We're all in a good place. I promise you, we are going to get there, my friends. It is all going to be okay. But today's episode is about careers and work balance and when to move up and how to know when to move up and what I wish I would have known in my early career, like post-college, and what did I do and what's actually important and how to find love in what you're working on. There is so much to talk about for careers. I held this one off for a little while because I wanted to gather my thoughts on it and be in a better spot in my career. And now that I am, I can, powerfully talk about it and feel good about talking about it. And now we can talk about the conversation, have this conversation really, really robustly. There will be more because there is so much to talk about. And the influx of write-ins was insane. Like write-ins from our live episode, call-ins, even write-ins just in my advice column area. Oh my God, I'm like overwhelmed by the amount of people who want career advice, which just means we're all feeling the exact same thing at the exact same time. So if you're feeling it right now, it is so extremely normal to feel a little bit uncomfortable in your career path, to feel a little bit like, where am I and what am I doing? So just take a deep breath. We're going to talk about it today, and hopefully you leave this episode feeling damn good. But we're going to start with a call SYD because it's just important to do that. I'm going to do this more in episodes where the call SYDs actually just ebb and flow the way the episode goes. So if you're thinking about calling in, I suggest you do so.
Hey, Sid, I just wanted to say I love your podcast and I love everything that's going on. But I did want your advice on, being a working girly, and how to cope with stress and wanting to move up in the ladder. What would you recommend when it comes to networking events? What does that look like? And how to, get yourself out there more. Thanks again. Would love to hear from you. Bye.
I love this write-in. It makes me think of, honestly, a ton of people. It makes me think of me pre this position that I'm in right now, friends that are looking for positions. It is so normal to feel stressed, especially when you feel pressured. So here's a few things that first come to mind when I hear this write-in is you should not wait to leave for when you're uncomfortable. You should hopefully hold on a little bit longer and leave because you're choosing to leave a company. So what do I mean by that? I really took this to heart when one of my peers / mentors in my previous job told me this. Don't leave when the going gets tough right away. That means that you're just running from a job. You want to run to a job. So why do you do that? Because when you're running from something, you're going to grasp on anything that is decently or at least okay. You want to grab onto something that is amazing and that's going to feel good because you're in such a good position that your job right now is decent, but you're like, oh my God, this is a step forward. I'm going to feel so much better when I take that leap into something new. So one, when you're just thinking about moving up or moving out of a career because you're stressed and you're trying to find balance because being a working girly is tough, try to be resilient and try to get comfortable in the position that you're in right now, even though it might not be great, because the more you can appreciate where you are right now, even when it's crappy, trust me, I've had crappy jobs. I understand. You will so much more appreciate what you find in front of you and you will find something that is better for you. So do not run from a job. That is my absolute number one note. Number two, talking about moving up. Okay. So I think there's just this urgency that we all have to move up and run to the top. But I learned some really, really good advice also from a mentor at work, which obviously is a trend. So if you're thinking about it, find yourself a mentor, whether it be in your current career path, in a job that's similar to yours, above yours, at a company sister to yours. It could even be like a friend's parent if you like their career and you like where they're going. But they shared with me that I really need to stop pretending like I know everything right now. And that sounds harsh. I know it sounds harsh, but it's like, I can't move up all the time as quick as I always wanted to, as quick as I can hustle, because I also just, sometimes you have to sit in your career and learn and absorb and be a sponge. So recognize if you're in a position where you're like, I'm hustling and I'm running and I feel like I'm like going a little bit too far over my feet, but I really want to move up. It's like, maybe you need to take a second and be a sponge, right? Absorb all the information of your peers, absorb what you like and dislike, the working styles of other people, and really listen to people and listen to what you're doing. Ask important questions, network internally. That's what I was going to say next, because she asked about networking. Networking inside your company is a huge deal. Why? Number one, if you're getting along with your peers, they will work with you a lot better. Right? They'll be willing and able to do things for you, especially when you're on the fly and you're in a quick environment and you're like, oh my God, I need something now. But I literally know that they're going to be pissed that I ask them. If you've made friends with somebody in that path or in that, career area, you probably can get what you need from them because they're your friend and you're a peer and you're fun to work with and a good coworker. Networking in your company also means sometimes when you're looking to move, quote unquote, air quotes, up, it might be over and up too. Like, let's say you're not so happy in the position that you're in, but you want to move up. You're like, it's time for me to move up. But ask yourself, do I really want to move up where I am right now? Or do I want to kind of take a sidestep into something else? Like, do I like marketing more? Do I like data more? I mean, you've been working with those people. Maybe you've asked to be like on projects with them. You're existing with them in the workspace and you're working on different things together, understanding how they do their job. Maybe it's a lateral and up shift, right? Networking in your company is a big deal. Another reason why is if you expand your network will also expand into other people's networks. So let's say I have this mentor and she is a leader in my company. Her network is now becoming my network because we're working so closely together. I'm asking for advice from her. I'm eager to learn. I'm looking for more. I'm hungry. She's going to be first to think of me when there's a shift or a position that opens in her ladder, or if she hears it from a friend outside of work or somebody at a different company, although she likely doesn't want to lose me. If I'm hungry for an opportunity and it's not open where I am right there, there is opportunity within her network. So networking inside your company is so important to do. Really, truly. Lastly, I'll say networking outside the company is also important. Finding somebody, maybe it was a coworker from a previous position, even if it was an internship and they were higher up than you. My one suggestion for finding a mentor, and this is what I always looked for too, is find someone who you look up to, but you also like their career path, like where they are right now. Do you want to be where they are? That's what you have to ask yourself. And it's kind of a tough and a little bit like gut-wrenching question. You're like, oh, I don't really want to be where you are right now. That means you probably don't want to learn a ton from where they are now, maybe a ton of their trajectory for sure. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean you can't have that mentor. I'm just saying sometimes when you don't have a lot of time and you need a network and you really want to network, but you want to admire someone that you're being mentored by in general, finding somebody who you enjoy and their job currently and like where their current position is going to help you figure out, okay, how do I go from A to Z? They're Z, I'm A. I got to figure out the in-between, and they know exactly how they got there. So they're going to help me get there. So don't overcomplicate as many mentors as possible. Nobody has the time for that. Let's just be real. But have a few and have at least one whose trajectory looks like where you want to go. And then I would also urge you to have a mentor or two maybe who are in a completely different trajectory. Learning from people in different industries is a huge deal. I have friends and mentors that are still in healthcare and owning their own businesses and having podcasts that are like blowing up. Side note, 2 hot takes, that's their shout out. But people in just different industries that I learn and I absorb, I'm like a little sponge all the time. So that was a ton of advice. but I think it's all related to this write-in and to this episode in general of things I wish I would have known. That's kind of the theme of today's episode. So I want to take a step back. I want to tell you guys really quick about what my career path was. And I heard recently from a listener / acquaintance that I also need to just talk about my life a little bit more. I feel like I've transition from my episodes being so much about like my life and my stories and all this stuff. But I also want you to know about me. Like I'm a person going about my life too. And I think that it can be helpful at times. So I went to ASU for a little bit. I started doing internships over there. I don't think I had one when I went to the U of M. I got a few social media internships. I got one as a senior when I came back to the University of Minnesota. I worked at Lululemon, and I forget what my other internship was. I'm totally blanking, but I was hustling from a very early age, like thinking way back to like babysitting and putting flyers in people's mailboxes. Like that was me. Remember those competitions at your school where literally you could earn like a mini plastic blowtorch if you sold like $5,000 worth of candles and chocolate? You best believe I was kicking ass in those. And I was getting all those awards because I was so eager. I think it was also like you could buy like wrapping paper or something. Oh my God. What the hell were they? They were like making kids sell their products and like making really good money off of it. That's really weird. I hope schools don't do that still. Besides the point, hustling from an early age, going into college, getting jobs. I had jobs all through college. I worked in the, like person to person service industry. Technically, retail is that too, because you're person to person, right? Serving somebody for something. I learned very quickly that that was not my passion. It was really tough to make people happy all the time. And I was exhausted when I came home from work. So that I learned something from that area of work. I loved Lululemon. I didn't love helping people with their ripped pants that I'm like, these are 100 years old. You for sure either rip these on purpose and think you're going to get a new pair, or I don't know what happened. But then I decided, okay, I'm going to get an internship within my career path, right? Because I was in the J school, journalism school at the Minnesota. I knew that I didn't want to be a newscaster anymore. I wanted to do something in marketing because I was like, okay, marketing seems really fun. I like creative work like that. My projects made sense. I thought if I can get a job at this company, it's my end all be all. Let's effing go. And I worked at Fallon Advertising. It's an advertising agency in Minneapolis. It was really fun, but I felt really out of place, transparently. And that's nothing to do with like the people who, if you're listening and you're from there, it's like nothing to do with necessarily with the people. I felt like an outsider in this company. They had been there for so long. The hustle of advertising agencies is intense and your pay is quite lower than other, positions. And so I was really, really, really bummed. Like I thought if I can get into Fallon right away, I will have my dream position at an agency. Like how freaking cool. And everybody talked about, oh my God, agency over corporate, like corporate's boring, corporate's this, corporate's that. You don't want to be like what do they call it? A piece of the machine or something like that, whatever. I'm like, I sit there in my agency life and I'm like, this is volatile. People are getting fired left and right. You lose a client, you're fired. And I couldn't get hired on because they lost a client. Like the day I was supposed to get hired on, it sucked. And I thought, shit, that was my dream job. And now I don't have a job. It felt like crap. I was so scared. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? I started applying. I applied to a bunch of different companies. And then I had a weird opportunity fall in my lap and I went over to it. And let me tell you this was the smartest career move that I could have made. And you're going to think, what the hell when I say it out loud, but I thought I was hungry for money, right? Part of my priority was money. And I think everybody has to have a priority for money. Let's just be real here. But I'm like, okay, money drives me. This is a hefty paycheck I'm about to get for just being an intern, like a full-time intern turned into like a business associate at a healthcare company. Now, mind you, my mom worked in healthcare her entire life. She hated it. I watched her hate it for many, many years. And I was like, you know what? I see a dollar sign. I'm going to try it. The reason I wanted to try it so bad was because I knew in this internship, I was going to try 3 different positions. It was a rotating internship. I accepted it. I hated every one of those positions. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be as frank as possible in here because it's shit I wish people would have said with careers. I hated it. I worked in a business call center. I worked on some sort of like project management of like online service or something like that. And I literally don't even remember the third because I didn't like it that much. I don't even remember what it was. Bottom line, I hated it. But you know why that was so helpful? I figured out and started figuring out what was not for me. That is the only thing you can do in your career trajectory that will get you where you want to go, especially when you're just starting, especially when you don't know where to go. It is not the wrong thing to try something new and dislike it. That is exactly where you should be. It is the right direction to go. You know why? Because you're narrowing what you care about. You're narrowing where you want to go. You're narrowing what you want to do for the rest of your life. Yeah, you spend more life at work than you do at home, so you better damn like it, right? So this was a blessing, although I didn't realize that until I left. I moved into paid media. It was close to marketing there. They didn't have a marketing position open, and I thought, this is going to be awesome. It's close to marketing. It's savvy. It's numbers. People in paid media get paid a lot. Yeah, they get paid a lot. Okay, cool. I start doing it. I don't like it. This is job basically number 4 within a position, or maybe 5 considering Fallon too. And I'm like, God damn it. I don't like it again. I'm not passionate about it. I didn't want to learn about it. I don't like numbers and spreadsheets all that much. Like I just don't. And some people do. And I was like, I am screwed. I set myself up for failure. Wrong. Because I knew paid media and I knew numbers, I had a whole new area of my brain unlocked to get me where I am today. Now I'm going to be where I am today. Sorry if that was long-winded. I knew I had to get out of Bright Health, was the company. It was a healthcare company. I just felt like it was time to leave. There was changes in the company happening. It was shuffling. And I wasn't passionate. Again, I was bored. I was bored of my work, and I was not bored of my coworkers. I liked my coworkers a ton. I just didn't like the work I was doing day to day. It was tedious, and I found myself Googling things like that were just totally random, like about fitness and about, all of these things. Meanwhile, at Bright Health, I decided to take a leap of faith during COVID and try out to be a coach at the gym I was going at a ton, literally every single day. It was called Alter. And this was also the only reason I stepped foot into my current role today, because I took a leap of faith into something I never thought I would do, which was stand in front of a group of people and tell them how to do something and, go through all that training and become a coach. The only reason I'm in my job today is because I did that a while back. So everything you're doing in this current moment, as you're reflecting on what you have under your belt of passions, is actually going to help you for your future. So that's what you also need to think about, is how can what I'm doing today help me with where I'm going tomorrow? Truly, that's what got me to where I want to be and where I am right now today. And whatever I'm doing now is going to help me get to where the next step is. And granted, I've told you now about 4 or 5 jobs that I absolutely despise. So it's not that easy. And I guarantee if you're feeling that right now, I feel you, but there is opportunity knocking at your door, and I can guarantee that. So anyway, all that to be said, my transition from healthcare to my current role, it was basically, this is a very big turning point in my career. And I want to share all this because I think it can be really helpful. And I tell a lot of my friends and also just people that I mentor at work about this. I decided I needed to leave my job. Okay. I started applying, and I thought to myself, maybe since I'm so hungry for money, maybe I should do sales. Everybody tells me I should do sales. Everybody says, oh my God, you're such a good talker. You like it, you're enthusiastic. You like people. Get into sales. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting kind of like big headed. I'm like, I'd be good at sales. I'd be so good at this. My boyfriend at the time / Jordan, my fiance now, he was in sales. And mind you, not that I think I would fail at sales, but we have completely opposite personalities. I also don't feel like I'm pushy at all. When someone says no, I'm like, okay, no worries. I was hungry for the money and wanting somebody else to tell me what to do and where to go for my career. That's why I wanted to go to sales. I applied to a sales job. I also applied to a job that I saw for marketing because I was being recruited by the company I work for now, which I'll tell you is Lifetime. They were recruiting me. I was kind of hesitant to it. I'll be honest. They know that. And I got the job at Lifetime and I got the job at the sales place. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to pick? Meanwhile, people have opinions about your job, career path, company you work for, things they've heard. I was hearing jibber jabber in both my ears about both companies. People were saying, don't do this, don't go there. They don't treat their employees well. They don't pay people well. All of these things in my ear as I'm trying to make a step forward. And it was scary and it was intimidating. And it made me trust myself even less than I already did. I had one rule that people said, don't go to, they need help. I saw problems in the company myself. And one rule that said, if you do well, you can make a lot of money, but it's pretty volatile. And if you get fired, you're screwed, basically. And I would learn from a lot of cool people that I had already met here. I would learn from a lot of cool people over here too. I looked internally at myself and I said, I am not money driven. I'm literally not. I mean, I love making money, of course, but I like to help people. That's why I started coaching. That's why I started my side hustle in the first place. I also love problem solving, and I see problems in this company that I could fix or I have ideas to fix. And I said, I'm taking a leap of faith, even though many people said, don't go there, don't do that. You know, everyone has opinions. And I accepted lifetime. I looked in the mirror and I said, are you really wanting to do sales where it's volatile and people will tell you no all the time and you're not going to feel good about it? No, because it's not my personality. And do I really care about making that big bonus? I mean, I like bonuses, but it doesn't fill my cup. And I've had like 5 roles where my cup wasn't filled. Bingo, take the job. Many things happen, which I'll get into, but I'm here today still sitting in front of you in a career that I actually really love. And I want to be real with you guys. No one loves their job. There's no such thing as like, oh my God, I love my job to the core every single day. But majority of the time, I really like my job. And I like my coworkers. And I know that this is a passion of mine. So I know that I'm in the right place right here, right now, sitting in front of you. So that's why I want to share all this with you. And I know I'm kind of rambling, and I hope that's okay with you. I will break it up with another write-in right now, a call Sid. Let's listen to this one and see what this person has to ask, because I love helping people. I love doing these.
Hi, Sid. I'm a huge fan of the podcast. I'm a day one listener, and I really appreciate you continuing the podcast with Well Said, Sid. And today I'm calling in about being a first-time manager. I am in marketing at my current job, and I need some advice for being a first-time manager, I guess. He just joined the team a month ago, and it's been a rocky start. This past week, I had to have like a sit-down conversation with him and go over expectations and stuff. And I really don't want to fire him, but like if he doesn't start picking up some responsibilities, it might be going in that direction.
Oh boy.
But I really do need the help in my role. And I'm just looking for advice and making sure that I'm doing everything possible to make him succeed in his role. And I'm hoping that you can give me some advice. So, yeah. Would love to hear more about careers and like moving up in the world. Once again, love the podcast. Thanks so much for all you do. Listen to it every Monday. So yeah, take care. Thanks. Bye.
Cute. I love that. Thank you guys. Thank you for writing in as always. If you ever want to write into it, 612-470-7569. That is a call in number. You can always write out your advice that you need in the, if you don't want to call in, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. I will change your voice, by the way. There is a link in my bio with an advice little click that, write it in, boom, bingo, you got your advice to me, okay? And I'm the only person that reads it, so don't worry, only goes to me. I heard a lot of things in that, and I actually happen to be a first-time like manager. I've overseen people before. I've had many interns, but I am a manager now, and I think it is a very difficult position to be in because it's a switch from everyone is helping me that I can see above me to now, oh my God, there's someone below me now too. The best thing to help restructure this is help that person understand that Everything you're doing is to get them to where they want to be too, and understanding where do they want to go. So number one is sitting down and asking them, where do you want to be in 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year? All those conversations that you have with your leader, those hopefully like quarterly reviews, you should be doing with this person. Understanding where they want to go, understanding what their passions are. Every time that I have a meeting with my the person that reports to me, my direct report, I ask her, what is it that you're working on right now that's not really filling your cup? Although we all do. I just want to understand that and see if I can support. Where do you need help? Where would you like to work on that you are not currently working on right now that I can help you get to work on? And how are we feeling in our position? Are you able to unplug after 5? Like, are you feeling like you can get everything done and you're supported by me? Is there anything that I haven't been very good at lately? All of those things being said, this person understands that I have their right, interest in mind. I want to support them. Then you move into expectations. What are the expectations? For me, our jobs are insanely chaotic and hectic. We're running, like events and helping field members and all of these things at the same time. So when I need her to jump in on something, I need this much of her time in the week, like let's say 2 hours window to be available for if I need help with something immediately. So that's an expectation of mine, even if it's something that she doesn't normally work on. And she knows that, and because I've communicated it and I've let her know this is what I've got hot this week. I also support prioritization. So I will meet with her and we will figure out what is in priority order, right? All of these things that I'm saying right now, by the way, are things that you can do with your boss too. It is not only on the boss, it is also on you to own your trajectory, to own where you're going in the company, to own where you're going next in your work. So you're not just sitting there like blah, right? So that is a huge, huge reason why we work so well together. Seek to understand them too, right? You want to be understood in your position. You want to be understood in like how you work and your personality. And, if you're clashing, it can be the time to have a real conversation of like, hey, I sense some frustration. I want to understand if there's anything I can support with, or if it's something that I'm making you frustrated about. I want you to be real with me. And I want to make sure that we're on the same page because we're a team here within the huge company. You and I are like a duo. So let's try to figure this out and feel good about where you're at. All of those things being said, it is not realistic for your friend and your boss to be the same thing, right? I have a great friendship with my report, but it is not always that way. Same with my boss. But I've been in positions where I've had great bosses and they were not my friends, and that's okay. And they kind of gave it to me when I needed it. And that was okay. It's not expected to be besties and be your friend. I would rather someone be real with me than be my friend. So when it's time to get real with that person, a little tough love, a little critiquing, do that thing. Also, a little side note, sandwich them with a critique with a compliment. Compliment, critique, compliment. You got a little manager sandwich and how to give feedback, right? So that's what I would say for managers. I want to talk a few things about like mistakes I made assuming things in my career, because I think that's what's happening. This person is probably in that early career stage, which is usually like a really funky stage. I'm not going to lie. In my first positions, I felt very weird. Like I hadn't had somebody telling me what to do all the time. And if you're feeling that right now, I feel you. I was like, why are you telling me what to do all the time? This is so annoying. I'm doing your bitch work. I could be using my skills for something else. I'm not paid enough for this. Why are you like irritated with me? Like, of course, I'm the one that has to set up all the meetings and do all these things. You kind of just got to put your time in. And that's just the reality of it. Like your first position is not going to be your dream job. I'm sorry, it's not. It's a stepping stone for where you're going. So here are the mistakes that I made early in my career path, the assumptions I was making in my career. My degree was going to be limiting in my career path. My degree mattered more than my skills or my experience. I could just apply to a job. Like I don't need to put my face to a resume, right? I could just like apply out of nowhere and just send my resume in. My first job was going to be my dream job. Oh Lord. My first 6 months would be totally fine and easy, and I should feel like I fit right in. It should just feel right all the time because it's a job that I love. And I would get promoted when the time is right, that my boss or the company will tell me when. All of those things that I just said are not true. I hate to burst your bubble. Your degree will not be limiting. People care more about your life experiences than they do your degree. Your degree is not what tells you what your skills are. It just shows that you have work ethic. It shows that you finished school. It shows that you might have a little bit of a passion area that's on your paper, right? That's on that little resume that you send in. I could just apply. You need to say something to someone that if you apply at a company, you need to make yourself known, make your presence known. You being a little resume, no one knows who you are. Make a connection and take that next step, showing that you're like a go-getter and a little bit gritty and wanting that position. First job, dream job, we already knew that. 6 months, you'll be totally fine. The first 6 months are like totally uncomfortable. So like get used to that because you're learning. You're not supposed to know what you're doing. If you're confused, you're good. That's what I always say. You are in a good spot. So I just wanted to throw those out there because they're things that I was like always on the right or the wrong mindset for. Like, give yourself a little grace. This is just as weird as it is for you as it is for everybody else. No one knows what they're doing. Like, jobs are volatile. People, this is the crazy part. And the part that scares me is I hear about CMOs who are the up there people, the people with the most skill, in air quotes, right? We don't know, getting fired all the time. Be thankful for where you are right now in your career, where you likely have a lot more job security than the people above you. So what's more important? Getting up there as fast as you can, or getting up there with as much skill as you can? Think about that. With all this being said, finding your passion in your job is so hard. Oh my God. I mean, I told you my little career path that, what was I thinking? You guys, I worked in a call center with all men. I was the only girl. And I would have to answer like brokers in the insurance field, like people selling insurance. Tell me that you hate your job without telling you hate your job. Like me, I'm like, I am not meant to be on the phone sitting in a cubicle. I was going insane. Computer, phone, that was my life. And then I drove 45 to an hour home and I did it all again the next day. That is not me. Some people can do that. I was like, holy shit. I needed to find what I cared about, which I want to be frank with you that sometimes you can find your passion and fill your cup outside of your 9 to 5. Right? If that's who you are as a person, the way to figure out what your passion is and what you care about is asking yourself, what do I actually care about? What do I care about? For me, I care about helping people. I care about fitness. Yes, I care a little bit about money, which is going to still give me that drive underneath my ass to like keep going and keep working my way up. But is it okay that I get more money and I don't really help any people? Not really in my book. I care too much about helping people, like helping them feel better in their fitness journey or helping them solve problems and making their lives easier. That's what I care about. So to ask yourself, what do I actually care about? Ask yourself also, what doesn't bother you to do daily? Like for me, like I said, solving problems, having a weird variety of work. Like some days I'm at a photo shoot. Some days I'm at a club doing an audit. Some days I'm working out for work, which is so freaking cool. Sometimes I'm in my cubicle working on creative stuff. Sometimes it's really, like numbers and I'm crunching numbers and trying to figure out a budget. I have a lot of different variety in my work. And that's what makes me happy. It fills my cup. Is it just the one thing that I work on that fills my cup? Absolutely not. So I know for me, I need variety in my work. I need variety. I want to be paid well, which I think everybody does, but it's not my number one priority. I would take the lower job that fills my cup more with more variety than the higher job that's more volatile, like sales. It just depends on who you are, but you have to understand who you are to know what your passions are and to know what job you should be in, right? Then I would ask yourself, what stimulates your brain? I literally cannot be bored at work. When I'm bored at work, I don't give a crap about the work. And that is so bad. But that was what I felt in some of my previous positions. I was like, I don't care. Oh my God. I'd be on meetings. I would have to like try to hold my eyeballs open like this. I'd be like, I'm going to fall asleep. I don't care about this. Oh my God. And not to say you care about your work at all, really. But at the very least, my work isn't always about fitness, but I'm in the fitness industry and I care about fitness. So I'm always learning about new boutiques that are opening up because I'm like, oh my God, how cool is that? New ways to work your body. I love, like literally in my free time, I'm figuring out new workouts. So there's something to be said about what stimulates your brain and what you can work on and what you care about, right? Final two questions I said was, what do I enjoy reading about or learning about outside of work? This is another thing that was very interesting to me. I got asked to go on a, what are they called? Retreat or whatever, where you go, a seminar, whatever it was, about like paid media. And I went and I was bored out of my mind. I did not. And I was like, I don't care about paid media. I just don't. And mind you, if you're in paid media or interested about it, it's basically like marketing, crunching numbers, and it's kind of like a competition. So it's actually really fun. I just am not a numbers person. So I'm just using this as my example. It's actually a great career path. I just don't want to shit on it this whole time. But when I thought about going to a seminar about mindfulness, health, and exercise, I was like, oh my God. Yes, yes, yes. Like literally care about that so much deep to my core. If I can find a job that overlaps even a little bit into that, I am meshing my passion and my career. So sick. I just wanted to leave you with this from like the finding your passion and like, because it is the hardest place to be. Sometimes a job is literally just a stepping stone. It's just a stepping stone. Sometimes it is not your end all be all. Sometimes it is just to get you to the step one further than where you are right now. And that is okay. If it is filling your cup enough and you are able and willing to do it, it is okay. Because where we are right now, like we said in the beginning, is completely okay. I've got a Call SYD write-in that says career advice. I am currently a sophomore at the University of Minnesota. My major is marketing, and I'm starting to look for internships for the coming summer, but I have no idea where to start. I also get anxious when it comes to the interview process for bigger companies. I was wondering if you had any advice on where to start, what to look for, what to expect, and how to be more confident when looking for a job or an internship. Huge fan of the podcast, by the way. Oh, that was so nice. I actually have a section that I wrote out about like job searching must-dos, and I think this is going to make you feel a little bit more comfortable. I will say the one thing that keeps me going, I've said this about social media, I've said this about coaching, I've said this about podcasting. And when I really, really feel down in my head, I say this to myself: no one is waiting for you to fail. No one out there, not your friends, not your haters. They're not waiting for you to fail. You don't have that going on. I promise you don't. Even the biggest people, there are so many people waiting for them to succeed and waiting for them to do the next thing. Like, let's be real. I was waiting for Hailey Bieber and Justin to have a baby and now they're pregnant. I'm freaking hyped, right? There are not people waiting for you to fail. So don't make the assumption that people are judging you before they even have you open your mouth, right? So in that interview process, make sure you know that they're waiting for you to succeed, not waiting for you to fail. So remove the pressure a little bit. And it's okay to be nervous. Interviews are hard, especially when you're new to them. Takes practice. Here are my must-do job searching things that I literally live by and swear by. When you apply, you need to connect with a human. Literally find a human, message them, find a mutual on LinkedIn by typing in the company name, looking who works there or has a connection there, and message them and say, hey, I just applied. Would love to buy you a coffee and learn more about the position, or I'm thinking about applying. Would love to learn more and make sure I'm a good fit. Yada, yada, yada. Do that. Do not message the CMO or like the CEO, or don't go crazy. Find someone at a decent level that might be related to the position that you're applying for. That's going to get you a better connect to exactly where you're trying to talk to, and more likelihood that they will take you to a coffee date or vice versa. Likely you're buying them coffee, by the way. So just FYI, I would suggest buying them coffee and offering them that if you're wanting to get their time, right? Have questions prepped to ask them about their needs of the company. So when you're interviewing, be prepared. Ask questions. They want to know that you're interested. If you don't have questions and you're going into a position, how can they be assured that you're the right fit? Do you really care? Do you want to know more about the company? You don't work here. You don't know what we do day to day. So be curious. Ask them about their needs. That's my number one ask is what don't you have right now that you're looking for to focus on, or where do you feel the company has opportunity to grow? Have things to branch off of what they say about the company. So let's say they're talking to you about, oh my God, we do, I don't know. I don't really have a good example for this, but let's say they're talking about their day-to-day. Yeah, we really have a great work life balance. Like we're in 3 days of the week, at home for 2. And that's where you can add in like, I really am looking for like a partially in office position. I've been at home and it's really hard because it feels lonely. Although I love having my work time because I'm really diligent. I also would really love to have that balance in office of meeting my coworkers in person and meeting in person. Bingo, ding, 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 green flag going off in their brain. You had something to say about something that they said, and you're keeping the conversation flowing. Do your research. Anything that they could be doing right now related to your role, like anything they could be doing better related to your role. Like that's how I feel like I got my position is I did my research. I understood what the brands were at Lifetime. What could there be differences in? What could we change? What could we work on that could be better? I was interested because I was like, ooh, this doesn't work well for a consumer. Maybe this is what I can help figure out. And I ended up literally making a job there that was not open for somebody to apply to. Like I literally came in and I was like, I'm not really that. I'm not really that. How about we make a new role? And I worked with them to make a new role because I was so passionate about my ideas. And that's how my job came about, which is so freaking cool. And I'm telling you right now, I'm no different than you. You can do that too. I promise you, you can do it too. Just got to be passionate and show them you're passionate. Be enthusiastic was my next one. Do you really want it? Or do you just like kind of want it? You know what I mean? Like imagine if someone called you and you were hiring them and they were just like, yeah, I saw this job pop up and I like kind of want a new job. I'd be like, okay, you're like literally not giving me anything here. Nothing to work with, not making conversation, not asking me questions, not like acting like I'm your board already. You're not working for me. You know what I mean? So be enthusiastic, bring some energy. And then finally, the best advice that I had is like, do your own research on the company. Like people's opinions of a place will be vastly different from yours. So trust your gut. People can say things about, oh yeah, my friend worked there and she hated it. My friend worked there and she did this. My dad worked there. My mom worked there. And there was this weird drama at work. Like everything is going to be a different experience for every single person sitting to the right of you, sitting to the left of you. So make sure that you're making your own assumptions about the career and the career that you want. If it looks like a good idea to you, it probably is. So make your own judgment off the people that you're going to be surrounded by. That's why I literally took the opportunity at Lifetime is I felt like they needed help. Okay, I want to change the topic a little bit based off this write-in, and I want to talk about work drama. So this write-in says, hey Sid, my name is Natalie. I love the pod and have been a huge fan forever. I'm so excited about this new segment of the podcast because I definitely need some advice. I've been at my job for over a year and I'm starting to realize I don't like what I do anymore and I'm seeking change. On top of that, I've noticed that I don't really fit in with my coworkers and they often make me feel uncomfortable. Whether that be making fun of things that bring me joy, making me feel like I don't belong. The list goes on. I also suffer from severe social anxiety, depression, and I'm a people pleaser. So these kinds of situations are super difficult for me to navigate through. I really want to quit my job, but I feel like I need to stay in the order to make my boss and my coworkers happy. I feel like if I leave, I will screw everything up for them because I contribute a lot to our team. I've been told it doesn't matter if my absence affects what they're doing. What matters is that I'm doing something that is right for myself. I'm having a really hard time with taking the initial step into this whole process of changing because I don't want to disappoint anyone. But I know if I don't leave my job, I'll only be disappointing myself. What are your thoughts on this? How do I leave something that doesn't fulfill me or make me happy when I feel so obligated to stay? Thanks for hearing me out and keep up the good work. Sending you love from Oregon. Oh, I feel really bad. That is so shitty. Bottom line, all I got to say here is that you need to get out. If you're feeling like your coworkers are making fun of you and you don't feel good at work with your people that are surrounding you, you need to leave and you need to take that leap of faith. And I have some steps with that too, but you've got to prioritize you first over other people's happiness. Yes, you have a huge role in the company for them, but what I would do is while you have this role in the company that they need, start searching for things and make sure the priority that you're looking for in this next position is a really, really positive, like work environment that's has camaraderie, and like is strong with the relationship with people. Like they're people you're looking for same personalities likely. Get something like that. And what I think we learn when we interview and we find something new is what we didn't look for in the previous position. I've made many mistakes where taking jobs, I did not ask all the questions. I didn't ask what I'd be working on every single day. I didn't. And I don't know how I didn't do that. Like, how did I not ask that obvious question? I didn't ask what the dynamic of the team was. How? I didn't ask what we do for team events or anything like that. Like, think about those things. If that's important to you, ask those questions in the interview process. And, they're interviewing you to come on board, but you're also interviewing them to make sure it'd be a good fit. So keep that in mind as you interview. Here's how I deal with work drama, especially if you're thinking, okay, maybe this is salvageable in this position and situation above. I really don't think that it is. I think if you're already feeling anxious, uncomfortable, being made fun of for the things you love, that's really not okay. That's a position where it's like, okay, your leader should have stepped in, should have had a hard conversation with you and those people, or somebody in general. You could have had that direct conversation. But if you've tried and you're like, I don't feel like this place fills my cup because of this, I don't feel respected, that is enough reason to get out. Don't worry about what they'll do. They'll have to figure it out, considering they can't have a good enough and positive enough work environment. Okay. Here's how I deal with work drama. How to let it not consume you, because everyone's going to run into work drama at some point in their career. So let's figure out how we can leave it in the office. We don't know why this person is the way that they are. We don't know why. And that's okay. Maybe they've got to stick up their ass because they just have a hard at-home life, or they got something going on that we don't know about. Or maybe that's the way that they get things done, by being a little bit harsh. Sometimes we just have to agree to disagree with the way that that person is. And sometimes we don't need to seek to understand that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. We don't know why they are the way that they are, and that is their problem, not ours. So that's number one. Number two, are you sure that you are a good person? If so, let it go. Let it go. If you can show up in your day and say, I showed up as the best person, best version of myself. I didn't say anything rude to that person. I didn't handle the position or the question or the work, whatever it is that caused the drama, poorly. Let that shit go. That's not on you anymore. That's not your drama to keep. It's their drama to keep. So get rid of it. An amazing boss that I had a little while back and role model once told me that drama is kind of a part of navigating your career and going up. You are not the same as the people that you're working around. You're going to encounter many, many different types of people who you don't really like, people you don't work like, people who you wouldn't do things the way that they do them. But can they teach you a bit of a lesson? So that's another thing that I ask myself. Can they teach me something? What am I trying to learn here? Like, am I learning patience? Am I learning that I need to address something head on instead of letting it linger and fester and let my anxiety take over? Do I need to go have a sit down conversation like an adult face to face and kind of prove that I can have my chest held high and have a tough conversation at work with an adult who is my peer or maybe my superior? Are you assuming that they're mad and they're not actually mad? Am I making assumptions? There's a lot of questions to ask you here. Now, if you're for sure that there's work drama, number one is talk to a trusted leader, okay? A leader, maybe just like your immediate boss, might be a good option. If you're having the drama with your immediate boss, maybe find somebody who you've been networking with in the company. Ask how to navigate. If you're truly like feeling really uncomfortable at work, ask how to navigate. But I will say, usually in any relationship, friendships, dating life, and in work life too, it's a miscommunication that keeps you in that uncomfortable state. So how do you squash a miscommunication? Communicate. That means setting up a one-on-one time with that person and just hashing it out. And you don't have to come from a place of attack. Sometimes it is your job to go and figure it out directly with the source. I guarantee that way is going to be the least resistance way. It's going to feel the most uncomfortable right up front, and then you will be able to move on from it, guaranteed, because I have felt it. I've had to have tough conversations with leaders, with peers, where I felt like I didn't know why they were angry with me. I didn't know why I was hearing things on the side. I didn't know why they felt like I was stepping on their toes or taking my work or different things like that. 99% of the time, they had no idea they were doing it, or they felt like I did something to step on their toes as well, which is also a tit for tat relationship that I don't prefer, but we hashed it out. And even sometimes leaving those, I don't feel like I'm like, yeah, I trust you 100%, like great, good stuff, but I can move on. I know what the problem was. We solved it. We had a conversation. Leave that shit at work. It is not to be brought home. If you can't stop bringing your stuff home, You need to find a boundary, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Boundaries are extremely important at work. It keeps you sane. It keeps you in a mental state that makes you so you can work on your job. Leave that shit behind. I will say what I've said for relationship advice stands so true in work advice. Your coworkers are different from you. Like, it's like moving in with your partner. It's uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, why are you doing that over there? Like, I would not do that way. I would not do that way. I would not email someone like that, or I would skip a step, or all of those things could be true. Let your coworkers do it the way that they want to do it. It's not your job to tell them how to do their job. And it's definitely not their job to tell you how to work, right? So don't take their drama. Don't take their wrongdoings. Leave that boundary there. Now, always extend an olive branch if you can, because killing something with kindness and being the bigger person is always how you get to the other side quicker. And sometimes it doesn't feel good to be the bigger person. You're like, but that wasn't right what that person did. Yeah, but I'm extending an olive branch because I want to move on with my life. I want to move past this weird tension situation that we're not talking about. Let's talk about it. Hey, have a one-on-one sit down. I'm feeling a little bit of tension and I don't know why. And it even feels awkward to bring it up with you. Did I do something, or is there something that you need to communicate with me? A good leader is always, I feel like there's always room for opportunity to grow. And I think critiquing conversations are good. So can you kind of talk to me about what's been bothering you, or if anything, or am I just misinterpreting your energy? Because I've just felt a little bit of difficult/thick energy the past few weeks. You're coming to them to figure it out. That's a huge, huge show of maturity and being like in your job and caring about your work. So have a little grace with yourself. Have that energy to be like, I can own this. I'm going to figure this out for myself. The more you talk shit with your coworkers, the more it might spread around that you're a shit talker, and the less you will get to the source of the problem to just figure it out and have that conversation. Have the tough conversations. If you're having the tough conversations and nothing changes, peace, get the fuck out of there. That is not your place of work. It is not worth losing yourself or losing your mental health over a job. I guarantee it. Do not do that. I want to end this episode with two more things: work-life balance, and then just career truths that nobody tells you. And I hope that you're taking a ton away from this episode, because I think I could have like 10 episodes on career advice, but these are my big hitters. I want to have a few more episodes on just like separately starting a business and starting a side hustle, larger episode on balance, mindfulness, being present, and like health in general, that like it's not just working out. So I will do those, but I wanted to leave you with a few more pieces of advice first. I think a good segue into this is another call, Sid, and it says, what do I do with my life? This is so relatable, by the way, you guys. Do I go back to school? How do I figure out what I'll be doing for the rest of my life? I graduated with my batch 2+ years ago and was working in the field, but constantly feeling like I wasn't appreciated and not doing something I could do for the rest of my life. I truly enjoyed my field job, but just had this gut feeling. I did a complete 180 and I accepted a job doing office work in the medical field to dip my toe into something I may enjoy. I think I'd truly enjoy something in this realm, and one of my degrees is in general biology, which could assist in a path through the medical field, but ultimately I just don't know. I guess what I'm asking for is, how does one know? How do I brush past the scariness of jumping into a new field and potentially a new degree without the concern of, is this right? Or will I hate this? I understand people change, but I feel the constant pressure of, I'm in my early 20s and I have no idea what I'm doing. Everyone says, it's okay, you're still young. But honestly, that scares me more than anything. And it's not reassuring. Thank you for your advice. If you see this also, thank you so much for continuing the podcast. Oh, I truly love listening to your old podcast and your current podcast. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. This is the most relatable shit I've ever heard in my whole life. Like, knowing that you are young, but not knowing what you're going to do next, and feeling like you're stuck, but you're not stuck because you have a job, and trying to be curious, but thinking, oh my God, what if I need to go back to school? In your gut, you kind of know. And I didn't even trust my gut at this point, honestly. But this is the first time I can be sitting in my chair saying to you guys that I trust my gut. And right now, my gut is calm. My gut is calm because I'm in a place where I'm learning, I'm working my ass off, I am stepping up to the plate, I'm taking risks, I'm doing things that challenge me, and that is good for me right now. You will know if you want to go back to school. You will know, but you've got to try. Trying things, like I said earlier, is going to make you see the other things, see the things that you don't like to do. Like I said, you can try a job and figure out, oh my God, I really don't like this. I really hate it. And then you know that that career path is not for you. It's not for you. But you learned, oh wow, in doing that job, I really liked being in Excel. Okay, well, I hated the job, loved Excel. Let's try to match that little piece of advice / thing I learned about myself into a new career opportunity, right? Thinking about it in more of a way of like, I'm trying to find out what I like versus I have to know what I like now and I need to figure out my next step immediately and I need to figure out my full trajectory. No one knows their full trajectory. And honestly, being present in your role is going to be much more helpful than being futuristic in what comes next. Because if you're futuristic in what comes next, you might miss the lessons that are right in front of you. You might miss the opportunity that somebody would have gave you had you just helped them with a project they needed help on, right? And then you would have found an opportunity within their team, but you were too busy hustling to get to the next role. Sometimes there is such thing as too much hustle. And I think that we need to take a deep breath, be where your feet are, see the opportunity as it is right in front of you. Your gut will tell you, I've been here for a year. I really don't like this. I don't like my X, Y, and Z about the job. Seek to understand why, and then make the jump. I am with you. I felt this so hard, but I listened to what my gut was telling me, and I felt and searched for something that I cared about a little more. Hence why I started coaching, which again, I'm going to talk about in full in another episode. But I promise you, you know what you're doing. You are safe. You are good. Keep hustling. Try this new job out. Take it with open arms. Ask for opportunity. Learn from the bosses. And then listen to your gut on where you are and where you want to be. Now I'm going to talk about the career truths that no one tells you because I meant to tell that right before. First 9 months of a job are uncomfortable. That's what I was going to add this to. You feel like you don't know what you're doing, and that's okay. You also do need to own your path to success. And here's how you do it. Have a quarterly review with your leader. Have that conversation. Ask the tough questions. Where is there room for improvement for me? How can I show up today as if I already have that next job title? What differentiates where I am in my current role and where I would be once I got that promotion? Have those conversations. What should I focus on if that job title, and figure out what that job title even entails? Like, what's different about your job and that one that you're searching and reaching for is your next step? What's different about the two roles? Okay, it says I have to manage people. What would I need to do in order to take the steps forward to manage someone successfully? Is there opportunity on this team for me to manage someone? Maybe it's getting an intern to prove that you can manage somebody, right? Figure out proactively what that next role maybe looks like when it's the time, and know that you need to understand what that role is asking for. And the only reason you do that too is that you can learn and develop, you can grow, they can vouch for you that you're already doing it. So you really deserve that role. You know what I'm saying? So don't overthink it. You only have to do it every 3 months, but have those difficult adult conversations about how can I improve? Be open to feedback. Be open to constructive criticism, because that's how you grow. And I guarantee you are not perfect, and neither is your boss. You maybe have constructive criticism for them. So maybe share that and they'll share it with you too, right? It should be an open dialogue. Good leaders, and if you're hoping to be a good leader in yourself too, should know to give feedback and receive feedback, because it's going to help them grow. You learn from that feedback. Sometimes you will do things that are intern work and are not your job, and that is okay. We all do it. We all have to do it. There shouldn't be intern work and non-intern work. If you feel like it's gritty and on the ground and you're not able to get it done and it's getting in the way of your full-time job, that's when it needs to have a conversation with your boss. But I do gritty stuff all the time. It's just a part of working. It is worse to say you have it all handled when you don't have it all handled. Ask for help. Be honest about your workload, and if it's too heavy, if you need more hands-on, if you don't have enough time in the day. You should not be working more than your 9 to 5. If the job expectation is that you work 9 to 5, working 9 to 5 is when you're supposed to be working. If you literally cannot get done what you want to get done in that 9 to 5 window, you need to ask for help and you need to raise your hand. I'm serious. Ask the questions. First of all, they'd rather you ask than get down the line of doing work for you or for them, and you get too far in the work and it's wrong and you didn't ask the questions you were wondering, you just assumed. but also there's no dumb questions. So when you ask those questions, just come with a suggestion, like whether it be direction wise or an answer to your problem. Like, hey, I'm getting this project ready for you. I'm making this deck for you. Just a quick question. Do you want it really consolidated and notes in the bottom? That's what I was going to do. Or do you want all the words on the slide? I just want to make sure I'm going in the right direction. You could have just done so much work that you didn't need to do and not ask those questions, right? Ask the questions. Finally, your boss might not be amazing. It's just the reality. It's the reality of working with people that are not you. But don't let it get in the way of your work, your trajectory, and your growth. Be the boss you want to be. If your boss doesn't set up quarterly connects with you to get your trajectory where it needs to be, set those up. Own your future, own your trajectory. It is not their job to do it. They should really lead you and guide you. That's what a good boss does. But it is your job to be the owner of your trajectory. I'm going to add this one in. I wasn't going to, but just don't gossip, squash the shit and be done with it. I want to have a whole episode about work-life balance, but I want to leave you guys with a few different things. In the morning, it is crucial to get up and do something for you, right? Don't roll out of bed and go right into your day if you can allow that, or you can figure out how to do that, which means sleep needs to be your priority. But truly, like, we've got to take hold of our lives and our career and our balance and all of those things. You've got to take hold of that. And if you're like, I'm a bad sleeper, take hold of that, figure it out, right? Get it figured out. Take a sleep supplement and have wind down time before you go to bed so you can get up and do something for you. For me, I do either a workout, I either make my own coffee and I sit outside. Sometimes I go on a walk if I'm feeling like taking Dee Dee on a long walk, or walk into my town that's nearest to me. Sometimes I mark something off my personal to-do list because it makes me feel like I'm getting my day going for me. Then I can give my soul, no, I'm kidding, but give my work like my attention and give my energy to that work. But first I start the day with something that is all for me. I also will say number 2 is schedule your workouts and your work time into your schedule. I've said this one before, crucial. I will not get my workout done because I'm the type of person when I'm like, okay, well, I didn't get it in the morning, but ideally I'll go around 5 and, oh, well, now I have a meeting until 5. Okay, well, maybe I'll go home. Oh, well, I have to do something at 6. It's like, no, don't dilly-dally. Make a plan, pack your little bag, get it on the calendar. My meetings are done at 4. I'm going at 4:30. I'm getting it done. I'll be home by 5:30, right? Get it done. That is for you. All of these things are for you, right? 3 is update your schedule weekly. This will avoid having a scramble of overlapping meetings, getting, your work ready for a meeting, having that ownership on a meeting, right? Let's say you are running a meeting about a project and you're like, oh shoot, that is on Tuesday. That means on Monday, it's a full day. I have to have an hour blocked off to work on that thing that I'm going to present on Tuesday. I need to be prepared. Half of doing work is being prepared for the meetings that you're going to move things along and owning your work. So that is huge, 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 huge. Get your schedule figured out, fix the overlapping meetings, figure out if you actually need work time instead of meeting with somebody and being like, hey, I'm going to move our meeting to Tuesday instead of Monday because I need a little more work time. Do all of that ahead of the week versus scrambling within the week. It will make you feel 10 times better. 4 is don't take work home with you. I've talked about this. I talked about it with drama. It is not your job to work after hours. No one's expecting you of that. And if they are expecting that of you, they need to figure it out and you need to have a real hard talk about your expectations at work. Once I leave my office, I close my computer, it's done. I am done for the day. Even when that day is stressful and I know the next day is stressful, I owe it to myself to make a good meal, to get outside, to be with my family, to be with my fiance and my dog, and just recharge my brain. That is inevitable for making yourself well. Finally, number 5 is learn to prioritize. And that means so many things. When I'm at work and I can have that balance, I just need to get the one thing that I am dreading done. I just need to get it done. And learning to prioritize is that one thing that I'm dreading, the most important thing, probably. So let's just do that one thing. Even if it's going to take you longer than all the other tasks, you have to have priorities. What happens, I felt in getting, growing in my career is I was prioritizing things that I wanted to do instead of the things that I should be doing. And there's a mix of that, right? You should be doing things you want to do and things that you need to do. But I was prioritizing all of the things I wanted to do and just getting those done in my work days. And then I was literally not able to get the shit done that I needed to get done. And I was falling behind and I was overworked because all of these things were getting done that were fun. And these really tough, bigger asks of me were not being prioritized. And then all of a sudden I'm like at a meeting unprepared, but I did all these great PowerPoint things over here. And you just need to learn to prioritize. And if you haven't learned what that looks like, getting with a leader to help you figure out what your priorities are. I do that almost every month, sometimes weekly too. If I can't figure it out, if my plate is looking so big, I'm like, realistically, this is what my plate can hold. What do you feel I should be prioritizing the most? I think it's these 3 things. Take that to your boss in your next one-on-one. It will also be very impressive of you to them to be owning your trajectory and owning your next steps, right? I'll add that learning to have priority and balance and in your life and work and having your shit together takes time. And I don't think anybody has their shit fully together. But you need to respect yourself enough to have that balance. Allow time to just breathe. Allow yourself time to have work time in your day. Don't feel guilty about blocking your stuff off. Don't feel guilty about having to work out during lunch because you need to get it in and you don't have time that evening. Just be a good coworker. Show up when you're supposed to show up. And I guarantee your anxieties will fade away. Prioritize correctly and ask your job, your boss, your leader, your whoever, what the heck you're supposed to be prioritizing so that you don't feel like you need to take your work home. Balance is everything in your job. So make sure it's priority to you. I'm going to end this with one more call SID because it's just fun. And I love doing call SIDs, but let's just end it here. It says, am I in the wrong for being annoyed that my employer is taking credit for my writing? I'm a social media manager and I've started writing blog posts for a hair salon that I work for. The blogs take me a few hours a week and I put a lot of effort into making them sound professional and interesting. My boss changes all of the parts in the posts that say my name to her name, essentially making it seem like she did all the work in the writing it. I'm a little disappointed because I was hoping to use those posts to build my portfolio. Am I in the wrong for feeling a little annoyed and is it worth bringing up to her? Oh my God. Yes. What the fuck is that? All I got to say here is that boss is clearly not a good leader, but we can learn from new leaders, right? Bad leaders, any leaders, we can learn from them all. That is one, not okay unless that was the expectation from the start. If you were like a ghostwriter and you were writing for her, but I understand that they want blog posts from the salon point of view. But if it was such a big deal and they don't want you to have the name on it because maybe you're not the person at the salon, you're not someone with salon background, they should have it be from a ghostwriter, not from someone else that takes credit for your work. You know what I mean? And sometimes I've heard of people doing this where they write for they write for someone and then that person posts it as if it was them, like a segment piece or as the leader of that business area. But I think having a conversation about how it makes you feel is a big deal. I think it would be awesome to take it to your boss and say, hey, I'm feeling kind of funky just because I write these and I spend a lot of time on them and a lot of effort. And I feel like I know I receive the credit from you guys, but from an outsider's perspective, they would never know that it was my writing. And it feels like my creative property a little bit. Would it be okay if we had some of these articles come directly from me? I would love to have a different segment on here or be a part of that and be trusted enough as the source of the content or, however you want to word it, but it is absolutely worth a conversation if it's bugging you. And again, sometimes you might have a conversation and realize, oh my God, that was always the expectation. That's how it's going to be. But you need to have that conversation if you're feeling annoyed, bothered, any of those things. Communication gap is clearly happening. You can fix that with an easy sit-down conversation. That's freaking weird though. Changes all the parts in the post that say my name to her name. I want to know if you knew that this is how it was going to be when you wrote these blog posts that, hey, you're writing blog posts for me. I'm the writer of this blog. I'm going to do that. If that's not the case, this is a very weird, wrong conversation that you need to have with the person. You could also ask a peer ideally like a leader in a different area, if that's something that is normal or if it's something that you should feel like a little in a funk about, because I know I would feel funky about it. And I don't know if I would wonder if my feelings were justified just because, again, some companies do that. But I think your feelings are very justified here, especially if that was not the initial expectation. So I urge you to have that conversation. That's freaking weird. And make sure that you know that you can still use those in your resume. You can explain that to anybody who is reading it or, looking at your work, that you are writing for your leader and that that's why the name has a different name, right? Or crop that part out and just explain it as your work, which it is. So just don't let that refrain from you using it for your resume as a whole. Okay, that was a lot. I understand that. That was a whole load of content. We talked about so many things. I hope I answered your questions around like making a career out of a passion. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on a different episode too, but advancing in corporate America, finding a little more value in your work, which we'll add to another episode again, overcoming imposter syndrome in your job. That's so true and hard. And getting a job after college, transitioning into new work. I mean, I tried to hit as many points as possible. A lot of good conversations coming up too about like balance and other things, because I know I just skimmed the surface of balance, but I hope I gave you something to take home, something to take into your work week, because you're hearing this on a Monday, ideally. Every Monday we drop an episode, I drop an episode, but Zivka helps me out. So I say we, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you to everyone that wrote in. Thank you for continuing to let me know what you want to hear, because I can't read your minds. And so any way that you can write it in, call it in, message me, whatever you got to do. I love helping you. I love giving you nuggets of advice. This is just my perspective from my life, things that I've learned, and I cannot wait to continue to share with you. So hopefully the next episodes you're hearing are going to be about, let's see, we've got a toxic things in your home episode coming up. A wedding one needs to come up. And then of course, like a health one. I think my sister needs to come on again, maybe for some relationship advice help. And I'm really excited. So I love you guys. As always, if you could subscribe, I'm going to document my entire Colombia journey. So I'm really excited. I'm bringing my camera. I'm doing the vlog. You know it. And I will talk to you guys very soon. I'm off to Colombia. I gotta go. I gotta get a cocktail. I gotta go hang out. Love you guys. Bye.